During the recording of the following podcast, no Democrats, Republicans, actors, chemists, dogs, cats, well, you get the idea, were harmed. However, it has been said some have been offended by the opinions seen and heard here. Oh, and please remember to pull clips out of context.
Sorry. I'm sorry. We thought you were someone else.
Soldiers are getting fired over refusing the vaccine. Is that right? We're going to discuss that today. Naomi, what do you think?
It's not right. That's what I think. It's not right.
Craig?
It's a tough subject. This is a hard one because you go into the military knowing that they're going to pump you full of stuff. And, you know, the article that you sent, it's like the potential of up to 30 shots of stuff. And then we're going to get deployed and detached and whatnot. But I think what they're pumping you for all those other shots is a little more tried and tested than the COVID shot. So this one for me is touchy because I've got friends in the military that are dealing with this right now. I've got close friends that are dealing with this right now. So this one hits close to home.
First, just a very special thank you to all who have supported me since the beginning of the journey of just shining a light on difficult things, on hard answers. Thank you so much for doing that. This is for you. I'm Matt Logan, the host of This Matters in Real Life. Oh, hey, stay tuned at the end of this. I'll give you some more information. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am I'm sorry. I'm a mom and I have kiddos that I see living in this country. And I want them to be raised in a good place. And I love Rochester and I love this area. And I just want our society to straighten up. That's a little bit about myself.
There's so much rugged individualism in the United States, right? And that's, we became this country because of that specifically. That's a good thing, I believe. However, what it does sometimes is we forget how to work interdependent, I suppose.
Sure.
You know, there's dependence and there's independence, but there's that interdependence where you kind of have to rely on
each
different, you know, entities. In this case would be the government with soldiers. And so you have to look at this, in my perspective, you have to look at this as it's interdependence. We have to do this together, literally together,
right.
Not this way or no way.
Right.
And so when you mentioned, Craig, that they have these 30-some vaccines, you're absolutely right. They know that going into it. You can do the research, you know it going into it. But what is it right for them, the military, to say after the fact, you've already signed up, you've been here for 28 years or whatever it might be, or 20 years or 5 years, and you have 2 left or whatever it is. They come in and say, hey, we've got this experiment, we're going to make you do it. The question is this: have they been doing that to the military all along?
It's a good question.
Our military have been guinea pigs for all kinds of stuff,
Right.
including, you know, nuclear bombs. So,
So
this is a really hard. There's no yes or no to this.
No, that's right.
Well, and people would say that they decided to do this job or this, trying to be respectful here, but they signed up to serve and protect our nation against enemies, foreign and domestic. And, you know, just traveling overseas, I had to take certain vaccines to be allowed into other countries. Most people know that. I believe that the military, they are supposed to be very healthy, right? They have to go through rigorous tests to make sure that their body is even fit to serve. And I have friends who did not pass some of those tests and was denied to be in like Coast Guard.
Is it Steve Rogers?
No. I don't think so. So, you know,
Captain America.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's who Steve Rogers
yes.
is. Yeah. Okay. All right.
The coffee's not quite kicking in.
Yeah,
here,
I
no?
know. That's why I was like,
Thank
some
you.
people don't know who that is.
And then, you know, you threw me
gotcha.
off guard when I introduced myself. I was sitting there just thinking about
Can't do it the
stuff, and I'm
same
just
thing,
thinking.
same way every time.
I know. No, it's good. But, you know, I just, I'm a thinker. But, you know, I really honor that anyone would want to sign up to do that job, right? Because it's a huge deal. It's you can't even really describe it verbally how much it means to you. You really feel, you mostly feel it. I remember going to a ceremony honoring our military, and it always moves me to tears, you know, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. I mean, I see people in public veterans who will be wearing a hat and a jacket, you know, to signify, typically, they're so proud of it. To signify that they served. And I always stop and thank them every time. You know, it's very important to show them honor. And really, like you said, have they been subjected to a lot of things that they shouldn't have been? You know, maybe this is exposing some of they've already experienced, but they aren't allowed to speak up about it. And maybe they don't want to speak up about it and they're okay with it. So you're probably going to have a lot of different viewpoints in each soldier and military personnel. If they have to go through tests to be even allowed to be in the military, maybe having certain injections they should have to do blood tests to see if they have immunities to things. I mean, why is this just like a no discussion thing? It's just you're taking it no matter what. Well, what if that poses a threat to their body?
Exactly right. Yeah, totally. And they do those tests with the other vaccines or whatever you want to call the shots that they take.
Right.
Do they need it? Do they not need it? Antibodies, all those other things that go along with it. And for this too, there has been from the CDC studies that have said, hey, look, it is actually better if you've had COVID or your body has other antibodies. Yep. It's better that you don't get the vaccine.
Sure.
So why the force on it? You know, maybe as well. You nailed it.
Maybe they should essentially give the soldiers COVID so that their bodies can.
Right.
I mean,
and
I understand that's
I
kind
know
of the purpose
saying.
of the shot.
True.
Is basically they get a mild case of it. But, you know, to touch on what you said, the military is probably the most discriminatory employee in our country.
Right.
The screenshots that we talked about a couple years ago, I got hung out to dry on one of my comments about that of, you know, too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny. They have all kinds of prejudices.
Right. Sure.
You have to be mentally stable
Sure.
to be in the military.
Frankly, I'm glad they do.
Stable.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
Not in a while.
Yeah, well, you know what happens. But I think it's pretty common knowledge that our military has used soldiers and our military for experiments. But I look at this as another experiment. There's just too many questions, and I think there's other options than to force them to poke.
Are they getting, you know, is it do you call it fired or let go or relieved of their duties because they're not getting a religious exemption? Is that a thing, or is it just because they are just saying no? And
I think they have the option for religious or medical.
I don't believe they do.
I thought it was in one of the
maybe
articles
certain branches have different protocols.
Yeah,
you know?
but I don't think maybe for the COVID thing, yes, but when you
Sure.
sign up,
for the
no.
COVID part,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, when you sign up, no.
Okay.
This is
Correct.
what we're doing.
Yep.
That's it.
You're a guinea
Like you
pig.
said, it's very segregated. Like this is it.
Which is sad to see because, you know, you don't want them to turn on each other.
No.
Right? Because then it's
They absolutely have to trust each other.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a story where, you know, a very close friend of ours, more than a friend, they have stories of when they served in Vietnam. And it's like, there are just things that they had to do, you know, that was out of the ordinary, but everybody kind of knew what to do. And if you just skipped one step, it just ruined so much. And this one person, soldier, they're trying to figure out if there's some enemies within the camp. So if you can imagine, our soldiers are in other countries, and they are at a base, and the food supplies and this, you know, and some foreign people have to come in and bring things in. Mm-hmm. So do you trust all of them are bringing in supplies or not? I mean, that's a real threat, probably. They have to assess that all the time. So this guy, you know, they had an alarm going off because there was a threat on the base, and he skipped a step, didn't put on his boots, and ran out to go see who, you know, grabs his rifle and running out. And guess what? Messed up his feet, ran out. The enemy had set up a trap and just shredded his feet, ran out without his boots on. You know, so it's like, I feel like maybe this is a too harsh of an example, but I feel like that's what they're trying to create a panic in our society with these soldiers. And they're asking them, are you going to give up your allegiance to our country over this? And they're setting off an alarm, and these soldiers are having to make a decision. And some of them maybe are going to just run out there and just take this, and some of them are going to fight.
There has been people recorded that in the military that have had adverse effects, I guess is the official term.
Sure.
And so that's the thing too that's concerning, I think, to a lot of them, is like, hey, my buddy, you know, she had real myocarditis or something like that. I read somewhere that some people in the military, and these are people that are in shape.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so when that kind of stuff happens, it's like they all get concerned about it.
Right.
I'm not saying that this jab is good or bad or anything like that. I think the point more I'm trying to make is shouldn't we respect them enough for them to kind of decide? And if they decide that they're not going to take the jab, what if we found something else for them to do?
Sure.
And you know what I mean? That they're doing this certain job, and you know, they talk about deployment, and they talk about prepared readiness, and all these things, and those are the reasons we're forcing them. Well, we know the vaccine, the shot, the jab, whatever you want to call it, has had very little to no effect on a lot of it.
Sure.
Those are from the CDC. Mm-hmm. And so is that a moot point? Then are we disrespecting our military? Do they deserve that? Do they deserve to be discharged and not have retirement after 25 years? All those questions, as a people, we should be asking and figuring out what's really the respectful way to do it.
Well, and the turnaround from when was this really created, this pharmaceutical to be used? And how did it line up all at the same time with all of these different companies? How kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, you would think they'd be on different pace as far as the rollout of each brand, you know? So that I'm concerned for the military in that respect too, that just like someone would maybe look at them as, well, that's just their job. Just, they have to take this stuff, like, you know, marching orders, but they're humans too, you know, they have families, they have livelihoods. Not everybody is in the military for 30 years. Some of them it's 4 years or 8 years. There's different levels of commitment that they're going to do. So, you know, there should be possibly some different levels of expectations maybe for this medical
discharge. Essentially what it is.
Well, that's right. Because it's not like they
shouldn't lose their benefits.
Right.
Because they won't take
an
experimental poke.
You know that Pfizer was involved in the largest payout lawsuit in history.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So should we just now, 10 years later, jump in bed, so to speak, with them again on this? I mean,
I think we're pretty cozy.
Well, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, so has our military always taken the public's brand of medications, or do we create a military-only medication? You know, I don't know these things, right? So it's interesting.
I do know I
haven't studied that.
Right. I have some friends also, and I know one of them I think was Moderna, and a couple of them were Pfizer.
Okay.
So I don't know if they had the option or if just that's where their base had that brand.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Right. I don't know anybody in the military that did the J&J though.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not saying that's
right.
not what they had, but the answer to that question, people that I have spoken with have taken the same thing supposedly that you and I could take.
Well, there must be contracts, you know, as we know there are for.
There's not money involved in this.
You know, like military contracts for probably weapons, and, you know, we could go on and on, but interesting how that all works. Like, makes you wonder who got to decide, or if they have to pick a certain one.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It is very interesting, but I think ultimately one of the biggest reasons I wanted to bring this particular story to the forefront in this topic is I just see a massive disrespect to human beings.
Yep.
And it's not even for me. It's the military has to decide what their protocols are for vaccinations and shots and all those things. I get that.
Right.
I'm not trying to debate that. What I am trying to say is specifically, let's treat them well. They've done a lot.
Yep.
Especially career military. They've done a lot for our country.
That's right.
You know, and that's where I'm at with it.
Well,
that's my last word.
Even the military, even if someone doesn't make it in for physical reasons, right? If they can't, I'm even proud of them, you know, for trying. Because it takes a lot to be in it. We know that. I'm talking about that, but.
And it's tough. This is a really hard subject for me because there's so many aspects to it. And, you know, something we didn't talk about is our soldiers our military is trained for war. And they are trained to be in the best shape physically, mentally, and medically. And that's where I guess maybe I question this: is this the best medical situation? Is this the best medical decision to force them to take this specific vaccine?
Right.
Because, I mean, the other stuff, it's to protect them medically.
Right.
The anthrax vaccine, I get it. Or the malaria vaccine, I get it. Because if they go to those countries, that's going to protect them. And it's proven that that's going to protect them. The COVID vaccine, there's so many questions.
Under the emergency use authorization, I mean, we're still at that, right? Are we still in an emergency status in our land and in our world?
Depends upon who you ask.
I suppose.
No, I don't believe that it's currently under I don't think the jab is currently under that.
Okay.
I think that was pulled.
Just like most of the mask mandates in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
All over the country.
In an election year where I asked the question on that, same as what this one is, are you being respectful to people, humans, or are you just trying to be the heavy hand of meddling and controlling a situation?
Right.
That's ultimately where it's at. I guess maybe that's my last word. Thanks for joining us again. Hammer the like button, hammer the share button, and make sure that you give us, should we do 17 stars this time, Naomi?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Give us 17 stars. See you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this conversation that I just had. I was very honored to be a part of it, honored to be the host of This Matters in Real Life. I think it's extremely important to cover a lot of different things and topics and get people's opinions. When my daughter died in the car crash 10 years ago, I said that's what I would do. I would look at the answers, I would look at the truth, and I would make sure that they would intersect. They would not divorce each other. It's so often that we want answers that are not the truth. We want answers that are comfortable. We want answers that make us feel good. Well, there's a lot of things in life that it's not the case. So who am I? Well, I am you. I'm no different than you are. I eat and sleep and, all the different things. Same thing that you do. I hurt. I feel joy. I've had a lot of experience, probably just like you. I work hard, probably just like you. One of the things that you can do to support us is go to shinybrandmerch.com, where you'll see things like the sweatshirt that I have on. I'm a full-time, a truck driver. What do I deliver? I deliver trucks. It's a little bit different of a gig than a normal truck driver, yes, but I am what would be considered a commercial vehicle transport specialist. So about 5 to 6 days a week, I deliver trucks. I get into a truck, I go 2,000 miles, I deliver it to its new owner, I get on an airplane and I go find another one. Nothing real glamorous unless you make it that way. And I've decided that I would have a lot of conversations along the way, and some of those conversations I'll be able to share with you. Again, hey, thanks for your support. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.